All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Marauders Weekly. I'm Kaleigh Emery. Thanks for tuning in. Well, we all know that it's a busy time for the baseball and softball teams, but it's also busy for track and field. Now, joined with me today is head coach for track and field Mike Thorson and athlete Molly McDonald. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
All right, so to start things off, Mike, you guys just hosted the Alborg Invite on Saturday. Tell me a little bit about how that went for you guys.
Well, it was kind of windy. You were there. You saw what happened there. It was kind of brutal in the morning. It got better as the day went on, but we were really pretty pleased with the performances. We thought our people handled the pretty stressful conditions pretty darn well. So, no, we were excited. We thought, for the most part, some good performances.
Now, obviously, there were some good performances as Emery came out on top, for first in both men's and women's. A few weeks ago when we sat down on the show, you told me that there were some struggles with the team. But since the outdoor season, it seems like there's been some success.
Well, I think we got some things we can build on. We're coming off an indoor that we weren't very happy with, Kaleigh. I mean, you're right. When I was here the last time, we were not very happy at all. I think we're heading in the right direction, thanks to one of the young ladies sitting right beside me. Molly's going to have to be a big one for us if we're going to do what we want to do at the outdoor championships, which aren't very far away. We're about 5 weeks away from the conference championships. So our outdoor goes very quickly, very quickly, and you throw in the weather and a few things like that, and it goes much too quickly.
Yeah, there definitely can be a lot of factors. Now, Molly, speaking of you, you're an All-American, you're also a senior, and you've had some success. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, when I came in here, I was just a hurdler, and my freshman year, I was okay, but I wasn't great, and then thanks to the coaches, they decided to have me try some new events, and it's worked out really well, and it's worked out really well for the team as well.
Now, one of the events, I know before we started the show, you mentioned high jump, that you didn't do it in high school, but you're doing it now, and you're pretty darn good.
Yeah, that was one of those events. My sophomore year, we started doing the pentathlon and the heptathlon, so I started high jump, long jump, and some throws for the first time.
Nice. Now, track and field is an individual sport, but it's kind of also, a team sport. How would you say that it is competing with these men and women?
It's a lot of fun this year. I think we definitely have a great team. Always at the meets, there's people cheering at jumps, there's people cheering at throws, there's people cheering all over the track, and it just is great to have that support and to know that your team's with you even though you are doing an individual event.
Now, Coach, a few instances here with the start of the outdoor season that you guys didn't participate. Was that from the weather, or what was that really from?
Yeah, it hasn't been a good start weather-wise. We missed the Black Hills meet. We didn't go, or chose not to go. They actually did end up having the meet, but they got a bunch of snow. Then last weekend, we were supposed to be in Sioux Falls, and then we canceled out of that one as well and ended up in Greeley, Colorado, which turned out very well for us. We had some nice performances, got some sun, beautiful weather. So that was a good decision on our part, and it was a good start to our season. We're hoping we can get some more good weather. We didn't get it yesterday, and we're hoping we're going to get it this weekend. As we talked before the show, we're going to split our squad. One group will go to Dickinson, but we got a large group going out to California for a series of meets.
So can you tell me a little bit about those meets? I know some of them are kind of across California and Azusa and Long Beach. Can you tell me a little bit about those?
Thursday, Mount Sac in Walnut, California. And then Friday will be Azusa. That's the Brian Clay Invitational. And then on Saturday, we'll wrap it up at Long Beach with the Beach Invitational. Typically, we've always had great performances out there, great weather. And obviously, this is a big one for us. If you're going to have a good season, a good outdoor, this is a big weekend for you.
Now, Molly, speaking of outdoors and good weather, yesterday wasn't so great of weather as it was pretty cold and pretty windy. How does that really affect, maybe you as an athlete, competing in these different events?
I think a lot of it is mental, and you just have to be prepared. You have to warm up earlier. And I do think a lot of it's mental, and I think our team does pretty well because we're used to practicing in conditions like that. We just know going into it, you just have to get the job done no matter what the weather is. So.
All right, now, it's your senior year. How would you recap these past few years with the University of Emery?
They've been crazy. They've been a lot of fun, though. it's a lot of hard work being on this team, but it's definitely rewarding. We've had a lot of conference championships, and just the team aspect and the people you meet, it's definitely been a rewarding experience.
Now, this question can kind of go to either one of you. There's still plenty left of the outdoor season. What would you say you guys are really looking forward to?
Coach.
Obviously, for us, from a team perspective, like I told you before, Kaleigh, the conference championship, we want to do the best we can. You know, for the women, you know, I've always said anything less than a conference championship is considered a failure in our program, which is pretty harsh. But that's truly what we're looking for, and that's going to be very, very tough. You know, Mankato won the indoor. Augustana is going to be very, very tough. So we got our work cut out for us. We got a lot of work to do in a short amount of time, but it could be done.
What about you, Molly?
I agree that ending on a conference championship would be a lot of fun. Hopefully we can come back and do it, and hopefully we get a bunch of people to go to nationals this season too.
Well, I hope the best of luck for both of you guys. Thank you so much. Now, don't go too far. I've got another coach in the studio along with scores and schedules coming up after the break. All right, welcome back. Well, you might recognize this coach sitting next to me and wonder why he's here, because it's not quite football season, but it is the start of spring football season. Thanks for coming in, Coach.
Thanks, Kaleigh.
Now, to start things off, you know, the spring game, it's on this next upcoming Saturday. What are some of the things that the team's really going to be working on, especially with the new offense?
Well, we just finished our second week of practice. We have 1 week left, and there's no doubt in my mind we're a better team, you know, at the end of this past week than we were a week ago. So very happy with that. We have a lot of competition going across in a lot of different position groups, particularly on offense because of the switch. And so, you know, what we'll do this week is we're really looking to solidify our 2 deep, have a good understanding of, all right, so this guy's a starter, who's the backup, and get kids reps at position groups, so we're trying to still figure that stuff out.
Okay, now, you know, you mentioned the last time we spoke, which was a couple of weeks back, about the atmosphere here. You're expecting the same type of atmosphere at this game. What are you expecting for this turnout for the spring game?
Well, we went to this format last year, and some of our coaches have had some familiarity at other programs we've been at doing something similar, and I just thought when we got here that Bismarck would be a great place to, you know, basically kind of have a celebration of spring and have a Bismarck Appreciation Day. So we did this format last year with the People's Choice Competition and the Free Kids Clinic. The timeline for the day is at 11:30. The game starts at 1. At 11:30, we'll have the Free Kids Clinic and the People's Choice Competition begin. Last year we had 1,500 people come. The first time we did this, we had 22 restaurants out there. And so the two things that are going on at 11:30, to talk a little more specifically, the Free Kids Clinic is run by the athletic department. So all of the boys, girls, ages kindergarten through 8th grade, all the University of Emery sports that aren't playing that day will be out there. So basically we'll keep the kids busy for 45 minutes. And then at the same time, up in the parking lot of the bowl, at 11:30, we'll have our free People's Choice competition, which last year, like I said, we had 22 restaurants. So just to read the ones that have signed up already real quick, because I always tell them I'm going to promote them. The restaurants that have turned in the registration forms, we're still looking for about 7 or 8 more, and we'll have a press release on Wednesday that has all of the final who's who of who's going to be there. But the ones that have turned their paperwork so far, Peacock Alley, I believe they got 2nd place last year. Bone Shaker Coffee, Minerva's, Oahu Restaurant, Broadway Grill is a new restaurant that's coming out there for the first time, Walrus, Taco Del Mar, Bruno's Pizza, I believe, got 3rd place last year. Longhorn Steakhouse, obviously, one of the newer restaurants in town. Dunn Brothers Coffee, Bearcat Bakery, Bread Poets, Cadoba, Rock Point is a new bar across the street, Mandan. Arnando's Mexican restaurant, Buffalo Wild Wings, those are the restaurants that have turned in their stuff. And we have 3 other vendors that are coming out there to give away water, pop and Powerade, and that would be Cooper Chevrolet, North Dakota National Guard, and Bauer Bucks Roadhouse. And so they're coming out there, and they're not really participating in the competition, but they're just there, and they'll have tailgating games and stuff like that going on, as well as giving away free Powerade, pop, and water. We're kind of short on liquids up there, so that's what we have signed up so far. To expect in the next couple of days, we'll get hopefully 7 or 8 more and have a really good turnout. We want to make sure the event's growing, and our goal is to have about 2,000 people there, we hope.
Well, that's a lot of people, and, you know, hopefully there will be a good turnout. So I assume that it's going to be around the same kind of structure as it was last year then?
Yeah, very similar. Last last 2 years, we've literally split the team in half. We split the coaches in half. This year, because of depth at a couple of the positions on offense, we've decided we're just going to do offense versus defense, and do kind of a modified scoring system. If the defense gets stops, we give them points. If the offense scores touchdowns, we give them points. So that's the format we'll use this year, but it'll still be an orange-white game.
Okay, so real quick here, what are you looking to really accomplish within this game?
Well, we're trying to make sure nobody gets hurt and that everybody has a good time. That's really what we're trying to do. And by the spring game is actually practice 15. That's all you're allowed by NCAA rules. We'll have gotten the vast majority of work done in the 14 practices before that. So all we're really trying to do is make sure we put on a great event for the city of Bismarck. We're trying to make sure none of our kids get injured. And then we're going to have a lot of recruits there. This is a real advantage for us. Some of the kids that are joining our program this year as freshmen, when we asked them when they committed to us, what were some of the things that were a big factor in decision? About 20 to 25% of them said, well, I came to the spring game and that was a big deal to me. So it gives us an advantage in recruiting. I do think it is the best spring game in the upper Midwest. I really do. I know there's obviously some 1AA schools in the region that have probably more people at their spring game, but if you're a fan, I don't know what better thing you'd want than what we have up in the Bowl parking lot this Saturday at 11:30. So I think it's the best spring game in the upper Midwest.
Most definitely. Well, we're definitely looking forward to that. And remember that, again, it's this Saturday at 1:30?
The game starts at 1. The free food starts at 11:30.
We'll get there early for the free food. All right, well, the Marauders were busy this week with a number of games going on. Taking a look at the results from those games here, the baseball team was in Sioux Falls on Wednesday to take on Augie, where they lost the first game 4-2 and then lost their second game 13-3. The Marauders then came home for the weekend, where they hosted Minnesota State on Saturday, and today on Saturday they lost the first game 5-2 and then lost the second game 12-8. Earlier today, when they played again, they won the first game 2-1 and then lost the second game 11-3. For the softball team, they were at home all week, where they hosted Minnesota State Moorhead on Wednesday, where they won their first game 4-1 and then lost their second game 6-5. On Saturday, the women hosted Upper Iowa, where they lost the first game 11-2 and then lost the second game 12-1. And then earlier today, the women took on Winona State, where they lost the first game 14-5 and then came back to win the second game 6-5. Then when it comes to track and field, the Marauders came in first place for both the men and the women for their only outdoors meet of the season, the Al Bortke Invite. Now, taking a look at this week's Emery sports schedules, the baseball team will be in Fargo to take on North Dakota State at 5 on Tuesday, and then they'll be home for the alumni weekend, where they'll host Winona State at noon and 2. And then next Sunday, they'll take on the Warriors for day 2, game time at noon and 2. For the softball team, the Marauders will be on the road, where they'll be in Aberdeen, South Dakota on Tuesday to face Northern State at 2 and 4. Next weekend, they'll be in Minnesota State to face Concordia St. Paul at 1 and 3 on Saturday. And then Sunday, they'll be in Mankato to face Minnesota State at noon and 2. And women's track and field, they'll be busy in California. Well, thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned for next week for Marauders Weekly. Have a good night.
Thank you for watching Marauders Weekly. Join us next Sunday as we showcase more Marauders athletics from home and away in Marauders Weekly, exclusively on NBC North Dakota Sports.